What's up, everybody? This is Pastor Brown here at the Pleasant Hope Baptist Church, and I am so excited because every Sunday this month, we're going to be clearing space and making room to spotlight people in our community who are doing a fantastic job making an impact in our local neighborhoods. I brought on my brother, my main man, my apple scrapple from back in the day, Jamie Wooten, dear brother of mine who's here with me because he has been helping to spotlight all of these people as well, and he'll be interviewing them every Sunday. Get used to this man, get used to his voice and face. He's going to be bringing to you wonderful and powerful people every week. Jamie, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Pastor.
Jamie, how long have we known each other, Jamie?
Whew, it goes back to you and Shayla stealing cookies at an event and somewhere.
That's true. I forgot that. That year, I don't know how many years ago, but man, I'm just so grateful for the journey that God has blessed us to take together.
Absolutely.
Studying, learning, sharpening one another, being supportive, because it can be a lonely road trying to have a commitment to our people in a sustained kind of way, but you have done it. And I'm so excited about you coming alongside to help us to spotlight community leaders through your organization and effort called Collectively. Can you tell the people what is Collectively?
Well, thank you again for having me. And you serve also on our advisory board, so I thank you for your service. We launched Collectively in 2019 to be a resource for those that seek to find, fund, and partner with Black social change organizations. We really want to amplify the voices of Black-led organizations who often go unnoticed and underfunded.
Why the emphasis on Black-led, Jamie?
Well, what we know, I think, from the philanthropic sector is that Black-led organizations receive about 2% of the $60 billion in foundation funding. Again, we know that we have hundreds of organizations in Baltimore doing exceptional work, but often don't have the capacity to scale and really present the type of programming they want to present to their community. So we want to make sure that we shine a spotlight on our community. We also want to shift the center of gravity to make sure that it's our community that is setting the agenda for what we want, what the priorities should be, and then come along and have philanthropy. What I always say to philanthropy is partnership, not paternalism. How might we partner without you creating the type of strings that sort of sets the agenda for us?
Did y'all get that? Partnership, not paternalism. That's powerful, powerful. And you had an effort recently to help shine that spotlight, raise funds and all that kind of stuff for so many wonderful people in our community. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. We host monthly the Black Futures Micro Grant, which is $1,000, no strings attached micro grant. Community organizations can submit a 2 to 3 minute video, and the community at large votes for the winner. You also have to integrate a value from the Nguzo Saba, so one of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. So what we're trying to do in this sort of decentralized network is integrate shared principles and shared values. And so we've sort of pivoted during COVID and launched the Baltimore Black-led Solidarity Fund, again, trying to provide $5,500 micro grants to Black-led organizations. We surpassed our goal and have provided over 100 micro grants and mobilized over $150,000 since March into Black-led organizations, no strings attached micro grants. Again, no strings attached is important, particularly, as you know, in the philanthropic sector that often creates strings on our behalf. So we tell our winners, if you have to pay your rent, pay your rent. If you need to go to spa, go to spa. We know and recognize that you have been serving in our community for a long time, and we just want to honor you and disrupt this philanthropic sector and prove that, of course, Black folks can do amazing work and have done amazing work with little or nothing.
Wow. You know, that goes such a long way in challenging the narrative that the Black community always needs support from outside in order for us to be lifted up and for us to address some of our challenges. But what you are showing by way of your work is that we can start from within.
That's right.
And then go beyond that. But we're going to start from within. We have that within our community, in that spirit of agency, in that spirit of self-help, in the spirit of asset-based community development. We have what we need to get started and support and organize. And so that's why I'm so grateful that every Sunday throughout the month of November, you'll be here interviewing various members of the community who are running amazing organizations. And so thank you for that, Jamie. And I can't wait to hear and to see the people that you're bringing to the Sunday service here at Pleasant Hope.
Thanks so much again for the opportunity to share this one thing. We launched our Artist in Residency program this past weekend, and to speak to what you said, we had a young man who was a photographer, Wavy, who posted an Instagram video speaking about his experience. And he said, man, I'm 26 years old, and something amazing happened to me this weekend. I went to an event that was well-funded, well-produced, and there were no white people there. And like the shift in his spirit, the shift in his mind that we can produce on this high level for us, by us, means a lot. And that's the sort of narrative change work that we're trying to do, to let our young people know that, yeah, we can do this. We just need to shift these resources, come together and collaborate and partner. So I thank you again for this partnership, for your service to our board and community.
Y'all, there you have it. Mr. Jamie Wooten from Collectively. We're going to be partnering up together all month long, spotlighting world changes that are right here in Baltimore. I ain't say Baltimore, I said Baltimore. And so don't miss this every Sunday as a part of our Sunday service. And I think it's time to see our first world changer. Y'all, check this out.
Thank you, Pastor Brown, again for this opportunity. Super excited today to be with our dear sister, Sister Tawanda Jones of West Wednesdays. There has not been a more dedicated person or dedicated family to the fight for justice in our community. So excited to have you with us, dear sister. Talk to us a little bit about your brother Tyrone West and what brought you to lead us in this West Wednesday.
Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you to both of you. Y'all know y'all and my brothers from way back, and I just appreciate all the community stuff you guys have been doing in support of helping us, so that's the first thing I want to say. So can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I got caught up.
Tell us about Tyrone West and tell us about West Wednesdays, one of the largest and longest sort of rallies and protests probably in America.
Yes. So unfortunately, my brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered right here in Baltimore City. He was beat to death by 11 to 15 police officers, and including one Morgan State University officer. And it's sad. So when I look at things that happen, like George Floyd, was, screaming for his dead mom, I couldn't imagine what my brother was screaming for, being beat to death over 18 minutes. So you think about 8 minutes, 46 seconds with George Floyd, with that officer having that foot on his neck. My brother, we had an officer named David Lloyd from Morgan, the last one that finished my brother off, and my brother was in a hog-tied, face-down position, couldn't breathe after being pepper sprayed, beat, tased, beat with, closed fists, batons, everything, right? Horribly beat with people witnessing, videoing, and everything, and it was just horrible. So immediately, my family knew, and the crazy part about it, that's why my sense of believing in God is so strong, because as my brother was getting beat to death, literally, I felt my whole life shift, and God talked to me and told me something was wrong. Like immediately I knew, like my family thought I was going crazy. It was to the point, literally, like he picked me up from work. He had worked hard. He had a job. He worked, and I called myself letting him hold my Mercedes-Benz, thinking that would be a safe haven for him, to keep him safe, because so much community violence was happening at the time, as it still is happening to this day. But nevertheless, I'm like, my brother's working. I'm gonna go out. I just bought my Mercedes-Benz, but I'm gonna go in and let him hold it. And it worked out perfect. He had a part-time job. I work full-time. I'm a teacher. I even teach in the summertime. So it worked out perfectly. But to me, it didn't, because something that I thought was safe got him ultimately targeted and murdered. And that was a green Mercedes-Benz, like a black man can't drive in a good car without being a drug dealer or something, And the crazy part, literally, he went to work, he picked me up 5:30, and the crazy part, the Black Lives Matter movement had just kicked off. Literally, George Zimmerman had got found not guilty that Saturday, literally, and me and him was like on the end of the seat. And I remember the last segment, my brother, he went to church with me that Sunday before. He went to church with me at our church and whatnot. And I remember the pastor talked about it seemed like Black lives don't matter. And literally, for my brother to be murdered and then to be brought back in the same church he had a service in, he is being in a casket is horrible. So with that being said, when God let me know, like he took me to work, all that kind of stuff, me and him talked about George Zimmerman verdict, because the interesting part, I just had a great officer in my classroom, was my co-teacher's husband, was doing a summer program called DARE for the children in my, the community and at my school. and we were talking, and I came down so happy. And from that, it let that conversation back up it sparked that conversation about George Zimmerman. He's like, well, sis, I'm glad. He said, I thought Officer Friendly was gone out to school. And I was like, yeah, it was so cool. And I'm talking, and me and him relating, and then we like, let's go grab something to eat, and then we're gonna go on in. And I'm like, you gonna pick up your niece tonight? And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go and grab her. Long story short, that never happened. Literally, he dropped me off. A half hour later, he's brutally executed. And while he's being brutally executed, I'm in my house doing lesson plans, eating my food that me and him just purchased. And I feel so much of pain on the left side of my body. I thought I was having a medical issue myself. I didn't know. It lasts for like 15 minutes. I'm literally to the point I dropped on the floor of my room. And then I'm like, get up, and then it's over with. Now immediately God let me know that it was Tyrone. And I immediately picked up, and when he didn't answer, I started freaking out, and literally to the point I'm calling my whole family, telling them something's wrong. I even literally called my daughter, who had just started working her job at McDonald's in the community. I'm sorry. But I had to tell her, not even knowing, something was wrong with my brother. I'm like, your uncle's not picking you up tonight. She's like, well, how am I gonna get home? I was like, you want to catch a cab? She's like, what happened to Uncle Tyrone? And I'm like, I don't know, something bad happened. And you don't call nobody with, I don't know, but I knew something wasn't right, you know? So long story short, my worst nightmare came true. It was on the news, and exactly, you know, it broke on Fox 45 at 10 o'clock. By then, you know, my aunt is calling me, and I'm telling her, like, we still looking for him. Then my fiance walk in the room like, oh, you were right, they killed your brother. And I'm like, who? He was like, the police. And I'm like, what? And I just see my green Mercedes-Benz in the middle of the road. I see my brother's dead body on a gurney. And from that moment, God let me know this is bigger than Tyrone West. Like, he didn't suffer, thank you. He didn't die in vain, but it was for a reason. I had a purpose. So immediately, that very next day, my family went into action. Thank God we're a close-knit family. We immediately went into action, and we knew that it was bigger than Tyrone. We knew that it didn't start. So what we did was immediately we were searching for answers, you know, and then it's sad because the detective came to our home already knowing what they were going to say. You know, the cause of death of my brother's autopsy wasn't even done. Literally, they come in like, we want to make sure Mr. West didn't die of a heart attack. We'll make sure he had a good heart, make sure the heat didn't contribute with Mr. West's death. And that's what they came with the autopsy report 5 months later. It took them 5 months to tell my family that, with an autopsy that concluded on the 19th. You know, it's just horrible. And so we knew. And so we started something enlightening of my brother called West Wednesday. And it's for all the victims of police brutality and murder.
Let us know. I mean, we unfortunately in Baltimore, many families have suffered from state-sanctioned violence, you know, but what you've been able to do, this sort of commitment, tell us about how long West Wednesdays has been taking place. Yeah,
so West Wednesday basically has been going on for 378 weeks. It'll be 379 this week, 2,650 days. And it's unfortunately, I wouldn't wish anyone into this club or family of feeling your loved one lost from people that's supposed to serve and protect. But unfortunately, I done went around the world. Like, we know it's not a Baltimore thing, but to actually go around the world and stand on the same corner in solidarity with Eric Gardner's family, to meet Michael Brown Sr. and stand in solidarity, and, you know, just all of national levels. And just like I say, every case matters, because guess what? Every case don't make national news. Unfortunately, my brother's case didn't make national news, you know, but we say every case matters.
Well, Pastor Heber Brown is modeling your face mask. Tell us about the face mask. Tell the community about ways in which they can support.
Yeah, so now what we're trying to do is basically get my brother's case reopened. That's like, so now in the George Floyd thing, they're like demanding defund the police, which I think they should, and allocate those funds like our sister that you brought up here that shut everything down, all of us, right? Explain, but most importantly, you know, defunding the police type of thing. But we're basically, my biggest thing is reopen all these cases. Because we know that there's no statutation limit on murder. And until they reopen these cases, they're going to keep murdering us. So that's what nobody don't want to talk. That's what Reverend Al Sharpton is. He's not talking about that. He's leading the people the wrong way. And that's why I thank you for being a true man of God. A true, like you just don't know how in sync I am with you, because you don't have that too much. And then for you to represent this community in the way that you do, teaching us like to grow our own food, showing us how, just connecting with every grassroots, from every grassroots level. I just want to thank you, humbly thank you, that like God is looking down, smiling at you. And then for you to be so young and so dedicated, I just thank you so much. But we're trying to promote my brother's name and reopening the cases. And that's why you have that beautiful Tyrone West mask on. And what I'm trying to do is I'm going to be giving it to all my local I call high class, high celebrity folks such as yourself. I'll be getting you one soon. Send it to Jill Carter, just got hers. My sister Erica Bridgewood from Ceasefire, so I'm going to be giving it to everybody. And Ivan Westmore, he wrote a book called 5 Days. I encourage y'all, if y'all didn't get it because he highlights my brother's story. I'm in that book. So, and my brother's, most important, my brother's story is in that book. It talks about the 5 days, so definitely get that book. And we'll be doing a special West Wednesday coming up. And I know y'all heard about the book called I Got a Monster. And it talks about all the corruption. So I think it's the second week of November, we're going to be doing a special West Wednesday where they have both of the authors, Westmore and the other author, the author of the book, I Got a Monster. And we'll be talking about that. We're going to have a nice panel set up. So.
Well, we thank you, dear sister, for your commitment, for your time. Any way that we can help or continue to support you, please let us know.
And thank you. And if you guys want to follow us, we're always on every West Wednesday. You connect to my page, Tawanda Jones, or any local, any media outlet. You can just hashtag West Wednesday as one word. You can see us on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, all that. And thank you guys so much. And God bless y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.